gon' talk. Tamaya gon' talk about Tamaya.
Hello. Welcome to the Tamaya Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about resentment unlocked. Okay. And what that means is basically taking a deep look at, okay, who you are, what happened, how that affected you psychologically, and how you feel. So a lot of us may feel a lot of anger. Some of us may feel some pain, but I want to talk to specifically the people who still feel anger. Literally anger. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to move and do your daily function. Yes, you're doing it, but you still feel bogged down in some areas. And I'm talking to everybody, but I specifically want to talk to my male audience because it's a lot harder for men to come out and say, hey, yeah, uncle did this or cousin did this or my coach did that. And it's so hard. And I'm talking to, your average everyday man, not just people who are already out there or flamboyant, but your average man who's just trying to pick up the pieces and put his life back together, one foot in front of the other, the person who has been assaulted but just needs representation. That's who today's episode is for. So Resentment Unlocked is talking about what specifically happened, the details, how that impacted you and what you felt. So for me, okay, jumping right in. Performing fellatio, I would just say thousands of times over the course of years for these two particular male family members. That caused a level of resentment in me. I think I just know it wasn't good. It was like a level of anger that I'm feeling this was an injustice. I felt I did not deserve it. And I felt like, where is the help? Where is the protection? So for me, with resentment and it being unlocked, I just never realized like what is the result of this and is there going to be any justice for me if I don't speak out? So the life I was living prior to this show was just me kind of wallowing around and self-loathing and self-pity. I think a lot of us get into self-pity because we're sad because we didn't speak out, but you've got to speak out. And if you can't speak out, hopefully I'm speaking out for you on this show that you are a victim, but you don't want to live inside that resentment. You do have to find a way to break out. You do have to find a way to scream. If you need to scream, scream. If you need to start running, run. But don't just sit there in self-pity and self-loathing thinking this is just the end of the road. That is not the end of the road. And you are a victim. And really, again, if you go back to some of those other episodes, I say that you are a hero because you're trying to put your life back together. It's almost like life after death. Right. So you have to remember you're doing a good thing by continuing to press on and push towards the mark. People don't know how heavy and how hard it is to be you. So specifically for my male audience, and I talk to a lot of people that have been coming and saying, hey, I like what you're doing. What you're doing has helped. It saved my life. But what I'm doing has saved my life. Right. So we have to speak on it. Hey, this happened because it's hard to rebound and bring yourself back after something so major and so traumatic that took so much from you. So I've had male friends come to me and straight up say, my mom's boyfriend took my butthole from me. Okay, that's a big one. And we can't keep skipping past it like it's nothing. It's major and we need to talk about it, right? So it's hard to put yourself back together after trauma, after abuse, after neglect, after rape, calling it what it is. And so I want to make sure I'm being real with my audience and saying, hey, resentment and unlocking it and opening it is just a bunch of anger, pain, and resentment and malice. So dealing with it would be, okay, now that I am acknowledging those feelings, I'm angry, I'm mad, this hurts. What do we do next? Where do we go from here? And that's really what we're here to talk about. Where do we go from here? Well, you're already in the right spot because at least you realize that's where you need to be. You need to say, yes, I'm mad. Yes, this hurt. Yes, I'm pissed. Yes, I still want to hurt people, but I won't. And that's good. But I just want to specifically talk to the male audience because psychologically it's so damaging to have to pull yourself up literally by your bootstraps turn it back around and get back on track in a race that you always feel you were never on track for. So I just want to really make sure I'm giving a lot of love, a lot of light, a lot of energy to my male audience, everybody, women, men, everybody. But I want to specifically say, if you're a man and you experience some level of sexual abuse or trauma, I want you to know specifically to you that I'm sending you a lot more love and support, because it takes a lot to rebound from something like that. This is a big one. Forgot one. And I may need to make sure I touch on this one. And we have to make sure we're not skipping over in-home abuse, specifically for my people who have had to deal with uncle, brother, cousin, mom, dad, those type of close interpersonal relationships where it's bigger than life and it has impacted you tremendously to a catastrophic level. That's specifically something that I do want to touch on to let you guys know you are not alone, that it is not easy, and that is a rough road to pick yourself up out of. It is damaging, it is painful, and I want to make sure I acknowledge my men and my women, but notably my men, who have had to deal with mom's boyfriend or uncle or brother or coach or whoever did what. It is a big deal, and you do need to know that there is some type of acknowledgement for you. So you know, hey, you are not alone, and that someone cares, and that you do have an ear, and that you do have support. For the people who have already spoke out to me, who have shared their personal stories to say, my brother did this when mom wasn't home, I want you to know I understand and I hear you. And those stories are important, because without giving it a voice, there's going to be no change. And without change, we can't make anything better for any of us. So I want to make sure we're not skipping over for the people who had to, of course, it's bad when people have had things happen, but it's a whole different caveat when you're talking about these close personal relationships, incest. That's devastating to a whole new level of destruction. And I want you to know it is not over for you. There is hope for you. There is support for you. There is life after that, and that you are not a permanent victim. That's the most important thing that I need to make sure I'm getting to people, to communicate that there's definitely hope for you and that it is not the end. So, and when it's happening and when we're growing up, we're kind of made to believe, oh, wow, I'm destroyed. This is never going to get any better. How embarrassing. No, 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 no. What would be embarrassing if you never realize, hey, you don't have to lie. So you are someone, and you're not any less of a man or a woman because someone victimized you. And it doesn't matter. And people always try to use age. Well, if it happened to you, no, it doesn't matter what age. You could be 92. If anybody violates you, it's a violation, period. So there's no age that makes it okay without your consent. So I just want to make sure I'm touching on that for the people who've had to endure what I would call hell. I want you to know there is support, and specifically to my male and female audiences who've had to go with that, who've had to deal with in-home abuse. I want you to know you're not alone. Thank you.
We gon' talk about it. Tamaya gon' talk about it. Tamaya gon' talk. Tamaya gon' talk about it. We gon' talk. Tamaya gon' talk about it. We gon' talk about it. Tamaya gon' talk about it. Tamaya gon' talk.